What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingNews.com. Welcome back to another one of our previews. All right, let's go up to Prairie Meadows and let's go to the Iowa Derby for this one. Field of 9 are going to line up, going to mile and 16th, $250,000 the purse. I'll put the field up on the screen now and let's get to talking about it. Field of 9, not the greatest field I've ever seen in my life, but obviously some horses that I think we're kind of looking for a bounce back, or we're looking for a horse to maybe show up and run, keep going off of a couple of nice efforts. Let's start with one that's looking for a bounce back, and that's the number one, The Hell We Did. This was a horse that had some hype, obviously, being the brother of Senior Buscador, and, debuted at Remington and ran well, kind of like Senior Buscador did, then gets beat at Zia, comes back this year at Sunland, wins by 13 lengths, and in an allowance race, and looked really, really good doing it. Since then, kind of been a little underwhelming. Second in the Lexington, beaten 2 1/4, and then seventh in the Preakness, beaten 12 1/2. Now, the Preakness, you can kind of draw a line through it, probably just too tough. And even me being the biggest the Senior Ruscador fan and fan of these connections, I didn't think he had much chance in the Preakness. I didn't think he had a big chance in the Lexington, so much so that I bet him. He didn't run poorly. He didn't run very well either. Trendsetter kind of ran right by him. And I don't know. Trendsetter's okay, right? So I was a little disappointed in the Lexington. This is a good spot for him, though. This is a really good spot. I think this is the right level. I think this is a little bit of a similar spot to the Lexington, if not a little bit of a step below it. So I think he's in with a shot here. I wouldn't be shocked if he runs a good race. And look, I think he shows up here. I think this is kind of where he was always kind of meant to be, a race like this. Let's talk about the number 2 Crupper next. I actually saw this horse win his race 2 races back live and in person, the Bathhouse Rose Stakes. He was setting the pace. He won by a half length. He's another horse that went to the Preakness out of that race. Probably went there because the Bathhouse Row was a free entry into the Preakness if you want it. And all truth be told, probably not a race he belonged in. And I think probably people knew it, right? He was 29 to 1 that day, got beat 21 1/4. So again, Preakness, you toss it out and you go, okay, these other races, yep, this is kind of where he belongs. This is kind of a race that makes a ton of sense for him. I'm not on him here in this spot, but to be fair, I wasn't on him when he won the Bathhouse Row either. I did have him hitting the board, didn't have him to win that day. I think he is a horse that is getting better, and I think his best effort does put him right around there with a chance, but not one that I am going to back in this spot today. All right, let's go down to the number 3, Maximum Effort. Another horse that is trained by, somebody that I like. Last one was Donnie K. Von Hemel. This one's Steve Asmussen. Just hasn't shown a whole lot yet, right? It just kind of hasn't. So much so that he's still a maiden. So it's hard for me to get behind him here in this one. Maybe he got beat by some decent enough horses throughout his kind of maiden tries, which was 6 races where he tried maidens and just, could never get the job done. Last time out, for whatever reason, he stepped up to stakes in the the Texas Derby and got beat 6 1/4 by Desert Gate and Chad Allen. It's Steve Asmussen. So, I'd love to see him win, but I just don't have any interest in the 3 Maximum Effort. I do have a lot of interest in the number 4, JJ Gray. This is kind of what Jared and I kind of call a McPeak special. And what we mean by that, it's like he's kind of all over the place. He's on the turf, he's on the dirt, he's on synthetic, and McPeak will do this with young horses a lot and kind of throw them in a lot of situations. Let's go back to the start. I see why they wanted him on the turf, because he won on debut. Then he was 5th in a $1 million race at Kentucky Downs. He was 7th in the Bourbon. So, he got beat by good horses when he was getting beat there. But he's nice. He's a nice little horse, right? 3 good races on the turf. They try the dirt. It goes really poorly. At Keeneland, starter allowance, got 6, beaten 9 3/4. Didn't run very well. So you're thinking to start the 3-year-old season, we'll probably see him back on the turf, right? No, he goes to the dirt at Fairgrounds on a starter allowance, and he was very impressive. It's a nice win. So then you go, okay, well, maybe we'll see him on the dirt a couple times. No, we go to the synthetic next. He was 3-2 in the Rushaway Stakes, and he ran horrible. He got beat by 10 1/2, didn't run very well, and it's like, oh, we'll definitely see him back on the dirt now. No, let's try the turf next. He runs an allowance. He only gets beat 4 3/4 by Touch of Fire. It was a pretty nice horse. Came back and ran pretty well last week up at Saratoga. Then we finally get back to the dirt, and we've seen a really nice horse since going back to the dirt. Oaklawn allowance race won by 5 and looked really good doing it. Went up to Prairie Meadows last time out, runs in the Prairie Mile, which is the prep race for this one, wins by 3 3/4 and looked really, really good doing it. Now he was 1-9 in that race, but he ran like a 1-9 shot. So if you take out all the craziness and you just look at his last 3 dirt races, really good. Winner by 4, a winner by 5, a winner by 3 3/4. Now, stepping up to the toughest race of his life, yes. Is it all that tough? No. If a couple of these cross-centered horses go to Indiana instead of Iowa, is it pretty much similar to what he ran last time? Yes. So I think he's very tough in this spot. I like him quite a bit. Let's go to another horse I like quite a bit here, and that's the number 5 Desert Gate. Now, he is cross-entered in the Indiana Derby. I think the Iowa Derby is a much softer spot. I think he can definitely win the Iowa Derby. Indiana, I've got some question marks. You can go watch that video up on the website right now. But for Desert Gate here, a horse that I was on last time out pretty heavy, and he was pretty disappointing. He finished 4th in the Ohio Derby, beaten 6 lengths, and he got a kind of the trip I thought he would get. He just didn't run very well. He did not kick on whatsoever, like he did in the Texas Derby, and then 3 races back at the race at Oaklawn Park, the Hot Springs. I blanked on that for a second. He didn't have that kick. Maybe it was just tougher horses. Chip Poncho, Waselli, Trendsetter. I mean, I don't think those horses are great. I don't think they should be 6 lengths better than him, but maybe they are. And maybe now you're getting back into the class that makes sense. Texas Derby to Iowa Derby, that does seem like a logical stop along the way. Ohio Derby was just a blip, maybe cutting back a little bit. His breeding says a 1 1/8 would have been fine, but maybe a mile and 16th is where he belongs. That's where he's ran his best races. I think he's in here with a big shot, obviously. I don't know. He may go to Indiana, though. We'll see. But if he shows up here, I think he is in with a big shot. One horse I don't think's in with much of a shot is the number 6 Outmatch. This is an Iowa bred. And nothing wrong with Iowa breds. We've seen an Iowa bred win this race before. But I don't know. This one looks a little bit up against it to me. We've never went, we have went a mile and got beat as a 2-year-old. These races this year that this horse has been in, Iowa bred company, broke the maiden going 5 furlongs, second in allowance going 6 furlongs, and then winning a 6 furlong race last time out. Horse is doing well. I almost wish if they were going to try open company that they try the sprint now up at Iowa, the Iowa sprint, but I do know that's older horses, so that's kind of crazy. Probably just needs to be against Iowa bred company. I don't like him a whole lot in this race. Seems to be a cut below. Don't know about the distance either, but listen, Iowa bred winning the race is very cool. Like I said, we have seen that in the past out of the Kelly Von Hemel barn. So, but still, I think Outmatch is outmatched in this spot. The number 7 is Bricklin, and this is another horse that is cross-entered in the Indiana Derby and the Iowa Derby. Again, as we record this, as the recording of this video is happening, I really don't know which spot this horse is going to go. I think it makes more sense for Bricklin to be here. I think this is a spot that gives him a better chance to win. I still don't think he's going to win. I think he can hit the board in this spot. He's just won on that January 3rd allowance race. Going a mile at Oaklawn was pretty good. It was good enough to try the Sunland Derby next. He was all right. He got 3rd. He was beaten 5 1/4. Those 2 horses aren't great that beat him. Arkansas Derby, he was all right again. 4th, beaten 7 1/4. Again, not the greatest horses finishing ahead of him, but not bad. Definitely better than the Sunland race. It's the Monmouth race last time out where you just kind of scratch your head. He was in the Long Branch. He was even money. You kind of felt, okay, been facing good horses. Now we're going to drop in class, and this makes a ton of sense and all that kind of stuff. Had Paco aboard, who wins every race at Monmouth. Not this one. He was 4th, beating 8 3/4. Just didn't run at all. I think he's better than that. I think he bounces back. I think this race gives him the best chance to bounce back. The number 8 is Canned Heat. This is a horse that did run 2nd behind JJ Gray last time out. I actually don't think it's impossible for him to run well here and get a piece of it, especially if we get some scratches from Desert Gate and Bricklin. Look, 2 races back here at Prairie Meadows, also was 2nd, beaten a half length, ran pretty well that day as well, and kind of just always around it, but has trouble winning. I'm not sure the distance is going to be a problem. We haven't seen him do it yet. He's been at all 6 furlongs, and then that was 1 mile last time out. I think mile 16th will be fine. I just think he's a small cut below. But look, I think he's in with at least a chance to hit the board in this spot. And then finally, the number 9 is Chad Allen. He was second 2 races back in the Texas Derby to Desert Gate. He was 5th, beating 10 3/4 last time out in the Ohio Derby. He's just kind of another one. Seems a little bit up against it against these top horses. He was 3rd to Crupper in the Bathhouse Row. I think he shows up here with an outside shot to hit the board at a big number, but yeah, for me, probably just going to pass on the number 9, Chad Allen. All right, that is the field of 9 here. I'm going to go number 4, JJ Gray on top. I think I'm skeptical Desert Gate's going to show up. I think he might go to Indiana, which will make JJ Gray even stronger and obviously kind of a big favorite. But I think even if Desert Gate's here, I kind of like JJ Gray. So I'm going to go number 4, JJ Gray on top. I think the last 3 races on the dirt are really good. I think he can repeat that effort. I did put number 5, Desert Gate in second. And look, if he shows up here, maybe he gets loose on the lead and it's a little bit tougher for these horses to run him down. Maybe he can take him gate to wire. That would not shock me whatsoever. So I put number 5, Desert Gate second. Number 7, Bricklin third. I think he'll bounce back a little bit. And number 1, The Hell We Did in fourth. I do think he will bounce back a little bit as well. So 4, 5, 7, 1 in this year's running of the Iowa Derby. All right, guys, hit the like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alerted anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, good luck if you're betting at Prairie Meadows on Saturday.